All right, good evening, everyone. We welcome you to another Tuesday Bible study service. Thank you for joining us this evening. We are still in our series of Love Is, and for quite a while we have been looking at that topic. We'll encourage you to go back and listen to the past services so that you have an understanding of where we are coming from. So last week we started with an all-female panel or all-female panelists, and we tried to get their perspective on marriage, child upbringing, and relationship with their partners. We wanted to have a female perspective. So last week we had an all-female panelist. So today we are looking at, or we are having an all-male panelist so that we can also get the male perspective. We want to, the reason behind this is that we want to speak to the men and women. You know, it is always good to have men and women together, but sometimes it's important that the women speak to the women and also men speak to men so that they can have a better understanding. So before we start tonight, I just would like an introduction from my left. Tell us your name and tell us how what you do if you care, then how many years you have been married. From my left. Thank you, sir.
Okay, my name is Boyega Tobola. I'm a pharmacist by profession, and I'm married for 6 years now. 6 years.
Okay, good evening, church. My name is Folan Olulade. I am an advertising practitioner. I've been married for 8 years now, and my wife and I have been blessed with 2 kids.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shegun Adaju. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a couple of businesses. I'm also a consultant, particularly on energy. Married for over 15 years now. 3 kids. Yeah.
All right, thank you, sirs. We have a very perfect mixture of marriages. Okay, so let's kick off with the icebreakers. So, from Mr. Fola, can you tell us how you met your wife?
Okay, so I remember vividly it was in a church wedding. And the person getting married in particular was my younger sister, and she happened to be her chief bridesmaid. You know, so it was easy to notice her appearance. You know, the way she was dressed, the way she was looking smart, and all of that. So at that point in time, no advances were made. It took me, I think, about 2 or 3 months later before, I made the advance and we started talking. So that's basically how I met her.
All right, thank you, sir. So, Pastor Wega, can you tell us how you met your wife?
Okay, so my story is a bit interesting. I think I met my wife at a mutual friend's wedding also. And it was at a period where I was not even thinking of anything about marriage. I was just being playful with everybody that I met. In fact, I just had so many friends at that period of time. She happened to be one of those that came in as friends. And we dared ourselves to be friends. And then we started talking, chatting, and this is where we are now.
All right, finally, Dr. Laju, please can you tell us how you met your wife?
Okay, thank you. I remember I was starting a new business then, and of course I was looking for staff to work with, and one of our staff, introduced her to me. So she came to meet me in the office. It was a makeshift office. We're still building the business then. And that's how we actually met. I remember that day, I think I just returned from a trip, and instead of going home, I don't know, I just felt like, let me go straight to the office. And then she came, she was introduced by someone, and that's how we met.
All right. So we have two people that met in a wedding, in a wedding meeting, and one person that met in the office. Okay. Okay, so let's go on. We have, there are certain, if you look at what young men face in, I'm talking about men from 25 to 35 now. What advice will you give young men now? As in, definitely, if you look at, based on when you married, all of you married, 8 years, 5 years, 15 years, the climb of the environment was quite different from now. So for intending men that want to marry, what do you think are the necessary things they need to do before they go into marriage? Do you think people need to walk by faith? We hear of people saying, well, let's trust God. Let's just trust God, and let's make this marriage work. And sometimes that trust leads to suffering. People suffer. So how do we balance as Christians and as fathers who have experience? What advice can you offer to young men who are planning on getting married, but they have issues, but they are trusting God that, they will go ahead like that? Do you think they should go ahead like that, or they should get some things already settled before they go into marriage? So I'll start with Dr. Dajo, please. Thanks, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Well, at times when I think of the days and times we are in now, especially for people who are not married, I really, prayed for the grace of God, because it's really very different from 15 years ago, for example. The world we are in now is gone, very far. So I just, at times I just pray for young people that, may the grace of God be enough for you. It's really a crazy time we are in now. Then also you talk about issues. It's also very necessary to sort out, if there are issues, you need to think through them. You need to try and sort yourself out first, so that you don't think, okay, let me carry on those issues. When I get to the marriage, God also will survive. There are issues that one needs to deal with, particularly from the men. For example, you have to be prepared to cater for a family. I have a lot of mentees, and I tell them that, look, if you have not been able to provide for yourself, please don't go and carry another man's daughter and put her under suffering. You must be able to at least basic necessities, because very soon another person will come in. So you must at least have some level of capacity to cater for a family. You must be willing to take a lot of, give some part of you away. You must give some things away from yourself to accept a new person. Also, like you said, there are issues. You have to deal with it first. Prepare yourself to get into, catering for others in addition to yourself, right? And above all, honestly, to look on to God much, much more. Counting on God to help you as a young man. I think that would be what I can share for now.
Okay, so let me just backtrack a little. I think I went too far. So, Mr. Fola, can you tell us one memorable part about your wedding day? Just something that made you happy about your wedding day.
Okay, so although there was a bit of chaos at my wedding, because I recall vividly that very day there was an accident on our way to church, and that made us arrive very late at our own wedding. you know, the bishop was already in the middle of the sermon and all of that. But above all, I think it was memorable for us, and I think what I will go away with was the fact that I suddenly realized that I could dance better than my wife at the reception. And everybody was hailing my name, hey, go for that, go for, you know, that kind of thing, you know. Because I was just so excited that, yes, I've been able to, you know, hit this milestone. And I think that was very memorable for me, the dance part. Yeah.
Okay, praise God. Good evening once again. Pastor Boyega, please, can you tell us something about your courtship?
Okay, my courtship was more of a long distance courtship. We courted for about 4 years, but we were friends for about 3 years, and then we courted for about 4 years. And during that period, I can say for free, we're talking every day. Every day. But at the point we had to get a CUG line. That CUG line ended up also being our business line eventually. But we're talking every day. So when we eventually meet periodically, because I was far away in different states, virtually in all during our courtship, we're not in the same city. So but when we meet and then you will not even know that we have not been seeing together. You will think that we see every day because we're talking about virtually everything, and that was what our courtship was like.
Okay, so that means there's a very high possibility that long distance relationship works, because we've been hearing stories of people like long distance relationship. At the end of the day, it's either the lady, maybe she will see somebody better, or the man will see somebody better, and at the end of the day, it does not work out. So what do you advise people who are in long distance relationship?
Okay, so the story was not that smooth, you get. So like I said, we're talking every day. So I can say that in the 7 years we were friends, we talked every day for 5 years. Every day. So it was difficult for someone to snatch her away from me. However, it did happen. So there was a time where she eventually left for valid reasons, and what you call a breakup, right? But however, I took it in and then allowed it to happen. And I think after like a week or two, I found out who she was going to be with. And at that point, I felt, I think that was what gave me further conviction that this is the person for me to marry, because I felt this was a very wrong decision. It was as if I was now in a situation of rescue. And that took me to serious prayers. So for me, for people that are in long distance courtship, the key is communication. And that communication is beyond what have you eaten, did you sleep well? It's having that conversation in such a way that it looks like a face-to-face conversation where you are talking about virtually everything. That continues to strengthen the bond, cover enough grounds, and makes it look like it wasn't even like you were. And funny enough, we don't do video calls. So we don't do video calls. It was all voice calls. So in case you have thought of video calls, there was no video call. It was all voice calls. And then when we see, we see.
Your own case is quite peculiar, because I've heard of people who had. That's why I'm always making mention of this generation. The probability of you sustaining long distance relationships. Even we have heard of people who supposedly are strong Christians. I mean, for one reason or the other, at the end of the day, I mean, so I hope people have learned from that, that communication is key. It's not just, have you eaten? What did you eat? What did you wear? Other important things to discuss. Okay, so I want to ask Dr. Adajo and Mr. Fola, did you have any, I mean, obviously your wives are very beautiful. So did you have any competition when you were in your period of courtship? I mean, did you have to, what did you do in order to catch them and to keep them? So I'll start with Dr. Adajo.
All right, thank you so much. I hope this is. All right, thank you. Ours is, ours was a bit peculiar. I earlier mentioned that, I was starting a new business when she was introduced to me and we met. So we started, and maybe she also felt, she could also discuss so many of those things with me. So at some point, we just realized that we feel more comfortable with each other than where we were. So our own courtship was very brief, was very short. Can I say about a year plus, or maybe a year? I remember it was on my 40th. Because I had a very big 40th birthday party, and it was after that evening that we knew that this is it. I remember we had a discussion after party in the evening, and we both met, and we just knew that, look, this is it. We just have to, make progress. When I say progress, we agreed. Yeah.
Okay, sir, please, prior to your being friends with your wife, are you trying to let us or tell us that you were not communicating very well in your previous relationship? Was that why you probably broke up and...
Okay, so mine was peculiar because I was going through some personal issues. Maybe at some time I could make that public, probably write a book and talk about it. So, and I was putting all my energy, all my focus as an entrepreneur on business, work. I remember I flew from Atlanta, yes, it was Atlanta, to Lagos, 12 hours non-stop, and I went straight to the office. And that was the same day she came. And I was just thinking, maybe if I didn't go to the office that day, maybe I wouldn't have met her, or we wouldn't have met. But somebody just said, hey, go to the office. So, because I was, like I said, some issues I was dealing with, and my focus and my energy was on the business at that time. Almost turning myself into a workaholic, as a, how would I put it? As a stopgap measure or as an escape route. All right? So yes, I can say that where I was then, communication was an issue, and like I said, personal issues. And I just met a friend who I felt very comfortable with, and that was the start of it.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, Mr. Fola, over to you. How were you able to catch and keep, did you face any competition with any other men around then?
Oh, yes, I did. I remember, so mine was also a bit of long distance. And then a point came where we were both in the same city, right? And that was when she moved to Lagos. So I think even before she moved, she used to tell me, there's this person in our fellowship, this and that, saying this is what he has saying, God said that. You know the drill. So I knew at that point in time that I think I have to be more intentional about how we communicate so that that will lead to more openness between us. I think that was what worked for me then. And it was so real that we could share almost everything with one another. There were times, I think there was a time she told me about a guy in our neighborhood who had been trying to ask her out and all of that. And then she said, okay, so that it doesn't look like this person has been disturbing me, and she said, okay, you want to buy me a drink, fine, go buy me a drink. Let's enjoy the moment. But beyond that, there was no follow-up commitment between both of them. But on my own side too, there were some sisters who were saying. I recall one moment where one even called me at the middle of the night and said, God told me that you are the one. And I'm like, seriously? If God is telling you, then God has to tell me too. So, I mean, I won't say that there won't be distractions in the course of courtship. Of course, there would. But what worked for me was the fact that we were open to each other. We were able to tell each other almost everything. And that was it.
Sorry, let me, apologies. There's something I skipped. Also, competition. Yes, there was competition. I mean, very strong competition. Wow. Yeah, and when we met, she was, I mean, like I said, we're both, in different relationships. But there was one or two issues about her own relationship that I saw a gap, and I latched on. I'm sure one of them, I'm not too sure I've mentioned it to her up to today. So maybe she's going to hear today. One of those things I latched on. So, of course, she was going through, the guy was very possessive. I mean, she was pretty very young then, I must say. The guy, where are you? What are you doing? Where are you going to? And I said, hey, mother, are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure you can cope with this? One of those gaps I saw. But the second gap I saw was that I knew that the guy was a Muslim. I mean, and so I will ask, are you sure you want to do this? Today, I'm sure she's hearing now. She should know that I'm the one that has kept her in the faith. Because if she has gone the other way, I mean, you understand what I mean? Yeah.
That's a good one. So she has heard some things she has not heard before. Okay, Pastor Gwega, do you have anything to say concerning this aspect? Did you face competition on both sides, on your side and on the wife of your side? And what did you do to keep and ensure that you get married to her?
My story is there are many things you can't say here. But however, I think at the point we started officially courting, at the point we met, I just came out from a relationship. It wasn't a toxic, it was a very fantastic relationship. I don't know if I can't really say this is the reason, but maybe one of the reasons was I wasn't interested in marriage, really, at that point. So that person was still there as a friend, and even as a friend till today, really. But there were a lot of counsels. This is your husband, and then this one too will come. This is not your husband. This is your wife. This is not your wife, and all that. And then from our own side also, like I said, somebody came into the picture, and I'm going to be very sincere with you. This is not being excessively spiritual, but it was just prayers, really, because at that point, like I said, it looked like a rescue mission for me. If the person was probably someone that was very fantastic, I would have just let go, because I already let go. But when I found out who the person was, it was in the place of prayer. I just kept praying, serious prayers. And when I say prayer, at that time, if you see me, I look like pencil. I'm fat now. Don't even think about it. So it was really about prayer, and that prayer just somehow, the guy just said he was not doing it again, and just left. He just said he was not doing it again, and he disappeared. He just did not call again. He did not bother again, and he just left. And because of our friendship, our communication, our openness, we talked about everything. I even knew what was going on in the relationship itself. I was still a counselor in the relationship of the competition. Praise God.
Okay, so I just want to ask one more question before we go into the main issues. So, anybody can answer to this. So, I know of someone who God has said that, they are meant to be together, but the parents are not in support of, that's the parents of the lady are not in support of them getting married to. So, I mean, you are not in support of their daughter getting married to him. So, what do you think he needs to do at this moment? I mean, he has prayed, he has fasted, he's even looking like what you were saying, that he's even looking like a broom too. So he has prayed, he has fasted, he has done everything, but the parents seem to be adamant. So in your counsel, what do you think he needs to do? Do you think he needs to take a walk? Or should he still keep praying until he disappears? So what are your counsel concerning this situation? Anyone can talk about it.
Okay.
A pastor will be better.
Okay, let me go first. So I believe that in marriage, regardless of how spiritual you are, parental consent is key. Because you're not just marrying that person, you're marrying into the family, right? So if you don't get parental consent and you've prayed, you need to check again to be sure it is God speaking to you, right? Because if you go ahead with that marriage, you will struggle with a lot of things. You will struggle because parental consent is key. The blessings of the parents is also very key as well. So for that brother, I would advise that he should walk away and move on, seeking the face of God. Yes.
Let me just add to that. I always like us to, when it comes to marriage, there's actually no one size fits all, and that's why sometimes marital issues, relationship issues, usually go into the counseling room, because you will find out that there are some other things that are not mentioned. It is an option to walk away, depending on the circumstances around it. But it is also an option to pray further. And I'll tell you why. I told you I courted for 4 years. There was reason. I could have married from 1 year after courtship, or even 6 months later, because I was too sure at that point. The place, when a man is in that kind of situation, the first place to look at, what was the reason for the approach? And I think that is where the foundation of relationships and marriage have issues. Most relationships start from mere desire, attraction. But if a relationship that is intended to go to the place of marriage started from the author of marriage, where there is a firm reason for starting that journey, there is always something to hold God on. And it's always easier to hold God on such things and not walk away. However, when such things happen, there needs to be serious prayers, counseling as well. Now, talking about counseling, I'll round off now. Talking about counseling, one of the things I advise young people when they start their relationship from day one is to be accountable to somebody. And when you are choosing who you should be accountable to, it should be chosen mutually. In fact, for the lady, it's better you choose the person from your side. And so that when there are such issues, you have somebody to guide you. I told you I was in a relationship, and then I left the relationship. If I had a counselor, maybe I wouldn't have taken that decision, maybe. But out of my own, I just took this decision. So that kind of person should trace the beginning of the marriage, of the relationship. If the beginning did not have any link to instruction from God, then you are in a way you're on your own to take that decision. But if there is a firm anchor on why that relationship started, you can continue praying. I'll tell you my story. My parents-in-law, my mother and father-in-law, were not in support of us. We are friends and they allowed us to be friends, but when it came to now it's time for marriage, they were not so, and for very, very valid reasons. If I were them, I would also say no. But I knew what I know then, and what I kept holding on to was that, and I kept praying. And one day, after 2 revelations of Brigga, go and meet her father. And I called her, I said, it's time for me to see your father, face to face. And I went to see him in his office. We sat down face to face for the first time. He didn't know when he said yes. He didn't know when we finished marriage, finished introduction, and finished everything. And now everyone is happy. The reason they were pointing at is gone. So there's an option to walk away, but there's also an option to be steadfast in the place of prayer.
Dr. Adaji, do you have any contribution to that?
The pastors have given the answer. Well, I mean, for me, maybe beyond spiritual, I'm just looking at real life situation now. If God says this is it, and you're sure that God has spoke to you, just like my brother mentioned here, I think continue to pray, ask God to intervene. I mean, there's nothing God cannot do. Himself, He can change the mind of those that are against it. This is what I believe, basically, right? If it's something you strongly believe in. In my own situation, also, as part of how I met my wife, I talked about when she came to the office. So it happened that I was sitting down, trying to just catch my breath after the long trip. I was feeling very sleepy, they call it a jet lag. And I just saw by the window side somebody walk past. And for a split moment, I don't know, it was later I realized that, maybe it was God that was talking to me. Then we were lucky, there was no how will I call it now? The day I met her father, I was like, I've met the father, of course. I lost my father at age 11. So it was like instantly he became my father. And then my mom also, of course. So it was there were no issues with us, right?
Thank you very much, sir. So it's necessary we pray, and it's necessary for us to be tuned to the frequency of the Spirit, because God speaks to us in different ways. If he was not in the position of receiving from God at that moment, he wouldn't have known a scholar brother that is interested in a sister, and he goes to meet her and he asks her some questions, and she says she's from a particular tribe, and he would now ghost her for some time, and later he would now call her to tell her that the reason why I ghosted you was because my sister's brother, whatever, married from that tribe, and now they're having issues in their marriage. My sister is married. She married from a particular tribe, and that tribe is not, they are not taking care of her very well. You understand? And I also want to get married, and somebody from that tribe is coming to me. So should I be judgmental about, because people are from this tribe, I should not get married to them, or I should just go as the Spirit is leading me? So anybody can answer.
Okay, so for me, you mentioned the right word, tribalistic. I mean, in this time and age when the world has become even, what's called, is it globalization? I mean, you are speaking of tribe. We've seen people who marry from different, they can't even speak their languages, and they have the best of marriages. So for me,
I believe that God would also make a way into the hearts of men around you to receive you the way you want to be, or the way you've decided that this is how we're going to be for the rest of our lives. So prayer is also very key as well.
Thank you very much, sir. Pastor Boyega, how do you handle serious arguments in your relationship, or serious issues in your marriage?
So let me first of all just say that anyone that is planning to marry or has just married, you will argue. There will be arguments, but in a Christian home there shouldn't be fights, but there will be arguments. And for us, right from the start of our relationship, in fact, when I approached my wife, she actually took me to a pastor, one of the SROs in MFM then. And after our conversation, we decided that this is the person that we will be responsible to. So during all the courtship, if there are any issues, those are the people we go to. And then I also had somebody from my own side. So those are the people that we go to. Now I know we're not, this is relationship now. This is not marriage. In a relationship, there is third party, there is fourth party. But when the moment you go into marriage, it is now you. And that is where, first of all, there needs to be a decision between both of you that this must work. And committing to the fact that this must work means that you will do everything to settle anything. And it could be, for us sometimes it can be me buying what she has always loved to buy, and I quietly go out. When I'm coming back, I buy it, that settles it. Sometimes it might be, oh yeah, come and eat too. And fortunately for us, we eat in the same plate. So we can't eat in the same plate and be fighting now. And in my family, we don't fight with food. So if you bring the food, food will settle it. And at times, it is a sit down and talk. What are the issues? And for men, you'll find out that the present argument is not the issue. It is maybe something else or something way back. And if you don't ask those questions and have that conversation, you will not find out that that's a problem. And then you just start seeing recurrent argument. So it's talking about it, looking for, I won't say sorry. There are different ways to say sorry. They have different ways to say sorry. So it might not necessarily, I know ladies are always looking for the guy that will say sorry. You will sit down for long. So if it comes in a way to say his own sorry, takes the sorry and discuss about it, really. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Raju, how do you handle serious issues at home?
Serious issues. Well, to be honest, firstly I have to give the commendation to my wife. I can say that she's been a major factor in settling, issues, right? Very accommodating, forgives, easily. But at times we argue. At times we fight, when necessary. At times she can be. Can I say it? She can be very stubborn. But me too. I'm a very stubborn man. Okay, but I think it has taken the grace of God. It's taken the grace of God and also her own disposition. I must say this, that we have settled, no matter how difficult the challenges are, and we're easily, the issue of communication. So if we're having issues and we're quarreling, and we're not talking to ourselves, on both sides, we are undergoing some serious stress. I might be, putting a strong face, but you know that there's tension and stress. Until we break that tension, you don't want to talk to me. You want to keep to yourself. And then we resolve matters. And even the most difficult matters, there was a time really where we traveled to my hometown and we got into a very serious issue. I remember very well that night. Somehow that night, we still settled it. So from there, I learned that, look, even if you're having a quarrel, don't let it, according to the Bible, don't let it, don't sleep over it. Try and resolve it. Although once in a while, we sleep over this one. But one way or the other, we'll just make up. I've noticed, and I believe the same with her, that it will be, I say it that my life will be disorganized, my life will be disrupted, I will be frustrated if I'm not with this woman. And so, based on that, you find a way of just settling whatever the issue is. Because if I'm going to be away for a week without interacting or engaging with this person, I will be completely disillusioned. That's the right word. And that's what we have noticed. So one way or the other, and with the grace of God helping us, we overcome major issues.
Okay, Mr. Fola.
Oh, okay. So the thing about arguments, right? You see, in marriage, you discover that you learn new things about your partner every time or every day, basically, because you can't know it all during courtship. So when arguments come, you'll be like, and I'm the one that married this, But at the end of the day, we always find ways to resolve our differences through sitting down and talking. Know what the issue is. I mean, why are you having a different inclination towards this issue? Of course, because of the way we were raised, because of the way we were brought up, it's very normal that we will think in certain ways. I mean, our thoughts will go different ways sometimes. But then again, because we understand that we have a responsibility to make this thing work. So whether we like it or not, we just have to sit down around and talk about it. I think the maximum, just like Daddy Adajo also said, I think the maximum we've gone without resolving argument has been maybe 48 hours. Yes. I think there was a time we couldn't resolve it that day, so we slept over it. And then the following day, we had to talk around it. Like, I don't know, maybe it's normal for women, there's this burning, the thing just keeps burning them, like, whether you like it or not, we must talk about this. We have to talk about this thing, And then as a man, you have to give listening ear, and you also have to come to understand while she thought that way and while things went that way, and then it gets resolved. So that's it for me.
Okay, so we have one of our panelists who just came in. So can you give him a mic? Let him just introduce himself. Sir, you tell us your name, tell us how many years you have been married, and then you answer this question: how have you been able to resolve serious issues in your marriage? It's your wife, sir.
Good evening. My name's Evangelist Efe Oyo. I'm married now for 23 years. So I'll start with, thank God we are members of Mountain of Fire. I'll start with foundation. Foundation is the key. Like me, my parents, they are traditionalists. You understand me? So when I gave my life to Christ, I now noticed that it is prayer. As in, let God choose for you. Not you putting an idol in your mind that you want to choose for God. For me, I like Africa's babe very well. You understand me? Because when I was growing up, I was very clean. I wear designers. So I like fair girls. So when prayer started from Zoe Ministry, sorry to mention them, they now taught us, that's as a bachelor, that if you need a spouse from your flesh and from your flesh, don't put any idol in your mind. I knew from day one that I will not go and look for a girl that his father is a president or that is very wealthy, because I know my challenges. My challenges is a spiritual challenge. Not that I get married to a president's daughter and the thing is still there. So I knew that I would need a backup that should be from Christ. So I zeroed my mind. The prayer started. We attend all the Spencers and bachelors meeting. They are now crossed over to Mountain of Fire. Before the Spencer, before Prayer City is in the headquarters there, we do the Spencers and bachelors prayer meeting. And based on my exposure, as I said, I don't need any rich family. So my eyes is not there, and I knew that it is not Africans now. It is who that will back me up because of my challenges, because I was facing a spiritual battle because of my destiny. So I needed somebody that will back me up. So I prayed with my mind open, without putting an idol in my heart.
The question, sir, how have you been able to resolve issues? I mean, you have been married for 23 years now. So can you just advise how have you been able to handle issues when you have issues with your wife?
Yes.
How have you been able to handle it to the point that, I mean, we know nowadays, I mean, you see young couples, because toothpaste, somebody is pressing it from the middle, another person is pressing it from the, and because of that, they broke up.
Yes.
I mean, we have heard of stories of people who went for a wedding because the bride side did not cook for the groom side. They left from the wedding, everybody went their way.
Yes.
I mean, we have issues where, okay, after the wedding, where do we live? The lady has a house in the island, the husband has a house in the mainland, because they didn't agree from the reception, marriage. So how have you been able to handle issues in your home, and that has helped you to stay in marriage for this long?
Yes, I started mine because of my challenges in life. So Galatians, I like using the scripture Galatians that talks about the works of the flesh and the fruit of the spirit. You understand me? So I grew up helping people. I have friends around the world. It's a gift from God. So when I'm getting married, as I said, I am not looking for a president's daughter to get married to. I just knew that I have to get married to somebody that will help me, as in spiritually. So I now started, and after prayers, I was in Ghana. I went to Ghana for trying to do some other business. And I came back. The business I was trying to do was exporting spices to Ghana through Canada. So my friends, when I came back, I said, I won't go look for spices. I said, you now, worry man now. They gave me the address of my wife to be. You know, so that period, we are praying fervently. I'm sorry to deviate for the youth. You know the advice is now. My foundation, nothing I don't know. I'm a strong mafia before. If it is drugs, if it is fraud, I know about everything. So I notice now the youth, because this is for the youth. As a spinster or as a bachelor, you want to look for a guy that has a car, that has a house, that has everything running. Sorry to say, 80% now, and thank God for the youth of Mountain of Fire. I live in Magodo here now. 80% of all the youths here, they are fraudsters. Living well, driving good cars. So for the sisters now, you understand, you don't want to date a brother that walks with leg. Like for example, we grew up with driver carrying us to school. So if I don't drive motor now, and so, you understand? So all those priority, and thank God, immediately I got to my wife, you know, say prayer is the key. It is my late mother-in-law just instructed this my wife now, that see this man, it is from God. I know say because of my foundation, no bobo, no lies. I tell you how it is. You understand me? I tell you how it is. If you don't want to stay, no problem. So that foundation, you must be open. No lies, no deception. If now 1K there you account, make it be 1K. You understand me? And thank God where I went to Tuna, my mother-in-law has the same thought with me. So because of my experience, 1995, most of my friends got married. Have you watched the film like Scarface? Those are some of my friends married. Called Mafia. Too much money. But at the end of the day, fast forward now, I was living with VGC with my friends. Fast forward now, some died prematurely. Today, those weddings are nothing to write home about. You understand me? But immediately I gave my life to Christ, I knew that everything is in the hands of the Lord. So it was easy for me. God took me to a mother-in-law that even told my parents, my mother is a show-off woman. So when my mother was planning for a big wedding, my mother-in-law just told her, I told mommy, not my mommy. If they need 5 million, may they give me. I need the money. I don't want my enemies. Because we have that experience. As the big wedding is going on, they are gossiping the two couples. And big wedding is going on. So, but based on Gio told us I got married for our first princess and bachelor's meeting. I said, that is my way. There's no how my money will be stuck in my account that will come and feed my enemies. It will not work. Because such used to bring problem. You understand me? Even to borrow cars. Thank God say there's Uber now. One of my friends want to get married that time, my car. He said, I said, I will not borrow you car. Don't do that. Just find a way. I will not borrow you this my car. Not that I don't want to give you. Don't have that mentality. Do it the way you have it. Me, I got married without a car, but I was shuffle driving when I was small. So God took me to a lady, to my mother-in-law that understand, and she's a good Christian. I know say me, my parents are not Christian. But because of the prayers of my heart, God took me to where everything was so easy for me. So when we want to do our marriage and traditional marriage, it was my mother-in-law God used to speak. He just told my parents, say, no, they're not there for sure. With wisdom woman, he said, because before our little aunties, we come, uncles, we come from London, we come from there, no point. So let's not do it among ourselves. I said, Mommy, thank you.
Wow. That's a whole lot. That's a whole lot. So the longevity of the marriage is not just about how big the wedding is. It's the God factor.
Yes.
God will help our youth in Jesus' name. You know, these days, so many people don't want to marry a man that is struggling. The truth be told, everybody wants something good, want the good life, especially those who are suffered in time past. So when they want to settle down, they'll be like, no, my husband must have A, B, C, E, F, G, including men too. So it is well. God will help everybody. So you have something to say?
Yes.
Okay.
So thank God there's Google now too. They use Google, the richest man in the world, like late MK. He's from a very poor background now. You understand me? Then the other side, as I said, there are two sides. Either you are a drug baron or you are into fraud. You understand me? It's Nigeria now, it's not, sorry to say, it's just few percent that are really doing the legitimate work. And they are trying to, those ones that are into the wrong way are trying to shadow those ones that God is blessing with the works of their hand. Because the word of God says we bless the works of our hand. Then quarrel. I grew up, my father is 86, my mother is 80. We grew up in the house in a fight every day. My old man, a heavy Shakis man, till today. So me, as I was growing up, I said, no, this one will not be my lifestyle. So know how they fight. Me and Alero fight. You see, the next 2 minutes, she knows that one. I just about forget that level. I don't keep money. So that was keep me going. You understand me? And she knows the foundation I came from. I have friends worldwide. Strong mafia worldwide. So you can see me for some kind of places. But my wife knows that is where God took me out from. You understand me? So that madness does not happen. Was there's an issue, we trash them out. Fight. So after the fight, that issue must be sorted that same day. Because as a Christian now, I know any grievance, any madness, my prayer will be hindered. You understand me? As the word of God said, make peace with all men. So, and that is what kept us going. No they fight strong rich. You understand me? I must make sure I be at peace. You know, the last 24 hours. My wife knows that. If you say for that, because I keep telling her, count your blessings as your late mother used to talk. Let's appreciate one another. And don't compare. Because my wife knows me very, you can't compare. You can't compare me. You know where I'm coming from. You know my man. If it's now cash sour for where I'm from come. But at the end of the day, you know some of how some ended. So the new couples now, don't compare. Just pray very well. God will give you your rightful partner. And stop that comparison. You understand me? Stop that comparison. This one, this especially we that are here. If you are not careful, some women say they'll just push some. Some of our friends died. You see where millionaire died because of complaint. No cash to go for holidays now for Bahamas. You understand? Those little things where because no cash to go Bahamas now for they not bring problem. Now we not give somebody a heart attack. Not because you get cash, you go Bahamas. Is it not better you stay alive peacefully with God than because of your cash will not kill you again? So the bottom line is that, thank God, as I said, the works of the flesh and the fruit of the spirit. You identify your own. That is for me, for the works of the flesh. So there are many there. As I identify my own, I start praying. And you know, as I said, God took me out of the world. So now I will guide myself. Nightclub is in the past. Now we go nightclub before. You understand me? So mine is that peace must be at home. And when you are a peaceful person, or the husband or the wife, you see at the end of the day, that thing will click. One person that is the troublemaker will relax when you know that this person is quiet or gentle.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Pastor Fola, how do you manage your in-laws, have you ever experienced any friction with them? Like, how has your relationship with them been so far?
Yes, I think so far it's been cordial. Although there has been, to be honest, there was a time there were a few infractions here and there, and that was because at some point I felt like maybe okay, boundaries were not respected or boundaries were not kept. But I think by and large, what has helped us, as a couple is the fact that we have learned to conceal things within us. That's number one. Number two, we've also learned to be advocates of each other at the different sides of the divide. So, to my own parents, I'm always advocating for my wife. So even if there's any complaint, I'll say no. That's is not enough reason. I mean, for you to think that way. I know who I got married to. I mean, this is what she represents and all of that. And she does the same to our people as well. So even if there were issues around, because the one I can remember was, I think it was at my naming ceremony when my sister-in-law was living with her kids, and okay, so she wanted me to drop her at a place where she could get a bus easily, right? And at the same time, I was also expecting visitors from my place of work. So, while driving along the way, I dropped her at a point where I know, yes, she can get a bus here easily. And I picked up some of my friends who were not driving at that time and, picked them with me back home. I never knew that was a problem. And she became so hungry that she was like, in fact, when I traveled back to Ijebu-Ode, because my in-laws are based in Ijebu-Ode, she did not even receive me. She did not say, okay, Fola, take water. I mean, it was that bad. So it was later on I realized it was because of what happened way back then that, made her give me that type of disposition. But fine, we moved on afterwards. But like I said, it's always good to become advocates for each other at both sides of the divide. That's it.
Very much, sir. So it's always good for you to be not just your wife's best friend now, but you'll be like a defender.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, sir. Pastor Boyega, please, do you have anything to add to that?
Handling in-laws for me starts from before marriage. I think for some of the mistakes people make is to portray or allow certain things you will not allow when you are married. So I think for me, on my side, maybe my wife did not manage that part well before marriage. There are certain things that my in-laws know that they will not try it in my house. They already knew that. If I used to tell her, this is your husband, one has to be very careful. Not in a bad way, but they just know that I'm a typical family man. So my family is my family. Nobody crosses the boundary. But that does not mean that there weren't issues. But what we eventually agreed amongst ourselves is, like you said, defend each other. So if there is an issue on this side, I'm not the one that will go and defend myself. She was the one that will go and give all the explanation, all the excuses. And if there's an issue from my side towards her, I'm the one that will go and give all the explanation. And sometimes we do it even without telling each other. It's maybe later, do you know what I told? Do you know what I said when this happened? So I don't know, but for us, that's what works. If you try to go and defend on the other side, it might escalate issues because they're angry with you, really. And by the time they find out that the person will even, because it's not from a bad place that is coming from. So the person that we're even trying to defend is defending the person we are fighting against. Everybody will just calm down and just say, oh, just leave those people who they know how to sort themselves.
Dr. Daju, please, do you have any addition?
Okay, so for us, I think we've been lucky. I have a father-in-law. She has a mother-in-law. So I've lost my father. She's lost her own mom. So we only have one father, one mother. And interestingly, her father loves my mom like anything. Every moment she's always asking, "How is Mama? I hope you have gone to see her." Even when he was in America, he would be calling and say, "You have to go and see her." So it was for us very easy. But one area that we almost had some issues were around siblings. So my own siblings and her own siblings. But I think we managed it. We later realized that, look, we are on our own. Oh. It's like those people, they are on their own. Let them be on their own. My own sibling, let them be on your own. Let them be on their own. Oh. You and I, we don't have anywhere we are running to. But for parents, we're pretty very lucky that we don't have issues from in-laws.
Okay, so final thoughts now. Final question, then we just round off. So, I was just looking at, I think it was Dr. Laju that said on Saturday or so that, there are marriages in the world now that, they were not even founded on Christianity. And they are 40, 50, 60 years, and they are going on. They are not even Christians. They were not even Christians. And they are still not Christians, but they have been able to sustain themselves. So my final question to everyone as we round up, let's leave Christianity for now. What are other things as advice now to those who are upcoming or those who are already married and those who are having issues in their marriage? What are those things that we need to add to ensure that our marriages are, they live to 30 years, they live to 40 years? Because if non-Christians are able to keep their marriages for that long, what is it that we, who we call ourselves children of God, what are we not doing? We that have the Spirit of God, we that have everything. So what are those things that we are not doing that you think that are meant to be added so that we can see marriages live long, 20 years, 30 years, 40, 50? So those are just your final thoughts on that. So I'll start with Dr. Laju and we go and end with Pastor Gwega.
Thank you so much. So for me, and that's why I said I like the theme of the program that I had on Saturday. Those who didn't attend, I'll advise them to go and watch that program online. It talks about friendship, to relationship, to courtship, and then the guest speaker added the last one, marriage. So it's friendship first, to relationship, to courtship, before you are even talking of marriage lasting forever. First thing, if you are friends, and you have what I call, you have this humanity in you. What humanity is, you don't want to hurt another person. You really want to leave the world a better place than you met it. Then, if you bring it down to the relationship you're in, you also want to see that you're leaving this person in a better place than, and then, beyond, of course, the scriptural principles, real life issues, how do you sort yourself out, how do you resolve issues. I just recall now that, look, since we got married, we've been sleeping on one bed, on the same bed. I'm not saying it's the same bed for 15 years, but we have never had separate rooms. In fact, we've never had separate bed. It has to be on that bed. Even if it is, what do we call it? Is it 6 by 6? Or, no, not 6 by 6. We used to use, 3 by 4 in secondary school in those days, all those bunk beds. We would sleep there. Yeah, and I realized it's also one of the areas, one of the ways we resolve our issues. Because we sleep on the same bed, and you are fighting, you find out that in the night you are, in fact, at the time, I'm almost pushed off the bed. I have one narrow part of the bed. So you find out that you just have to, you have to call them.
Quickly, in rounding up, let me say this. I think we need to understand that marriage is not for everybody. Yes. Jesus said in Matthew I think 19:12. He said, "Some have been made eunuchs by men, some eunuchs unto themselves, and some because of the kingdom of heaven." So I think it's important that first of all you find your own purpose before marriage. The reason why a lot of marriages crumble, especially Christian marriages, is because there is lack of purpose, right? So as a man coming to meet a woman, what vision do you carry? What is that woman coming to support? So I think it's important that we start from there first. And then we need to understand that in terms of preparation, there is, which is what I mentioned earlier, there is the mental fitness. Whether we like it or not, we can't separate spirituality from marriage. Marriage in itself, it's a spiritual thing. Even those who are not Christians, those that we say are unbelievers, whether right, she might be beautiful, you might have a good job, maybe somewhere along the line there's a covenant waiting to be activated in marriage. And then you are saying, how come? But this person is a pastor, and all of a sudden, they are no longer together again. And that's why I said you can't really separate spirituality from marriage. It's all, together.
There's a traditional wedding. You understand? So two things. General Overseer say, marriage that lasts, one person must be deaf, the other person must be dumb. You understand? Like me now, as where I came from, my daddy today said they see they fight at times. So we are used to that kind of level too. So at times when mama is trying to lag, I would just hold myself. You understand me? Because one issue must come, but what I do, I would just hold, I better leave that side. Let's sort ourselves out. So what I'm trying to say, one person must be deaf, the other person must be dumb. Because anger too is another problem. That's why I started with Galatians. You know yourself. Because anger now can burn down everything. I know some guys, when they're angry, they're big, correct, flat scream. What concerns the flat scream with your anger? They will break it. Check money day, they will go and buy another one. So that is just it. So Galatians, the fruit of the Spirit and the works of the flesh. If you destroy the works of the flesh, you know the fruit of the Spirit is meekness, gentleness, peace, love. So that is it. God bless you, sir.
Okay. Couples, I wonder, these people, do they laugh in this house at all? But when you see a marriage that will last, but when you see a relationship that will last, you will know. There is that joy, that going out together, that's looking for. I have a colleague that their own way is they'll leave their house and they can decide to go and lodge in the hotel for like 2-3 days, just to have their own time. It's just to give that spice, that joy. The house, you are laughing, you are playing, everything is not seriousness. There's joy, there's play. Once there is fun in the house, there is openness in the house. It's what do you want to go and look for outside now? Except you have flesh of this food.
Answer you.
Works
You
of the
said
flesh.
That's joy. That's peace. That's
Everything.
Thank you very much, sir. Sincerely, we appreciate each and every one of you for making out time out of your busy schedule to come around this evening for our panel session. And I pray God bless each and every one of you in Jesus' name. More spice, more grace, more money in your marriages in Jesus' name. So this is just to wrap up our service.